Tonight, we have a very special guest on our show. We got DJ Jaziah.
What's up?
Welcome down.
Thank you very much.
What's going on, bro? Good to see you again.
Thank you very much. A long time no see.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And this is my first time meeting you, so nice to meet you.
First time meeting you. Definitely.
So welcome to Redhook. Welcome to Brooklyn.
Wait, is this your first time in Redhook?
No, I went to the IKEA actually.
That's the only reason why people come to Redhook.
Yeah. So
That's not
before
cool. I thought this was the first time you were here.
before IKEA, I didn't even know about Redhook.
So wait, what'd you buy in IKEA?
Yeah, I needed some closets. So just simple. And since I just moved here, and I'm not sure how long I'm gonna stay.
Okay.
I buy the cheap IKEA stuff.
Oh,
so
I
can
agree.
throw
I
it
agree.
away whenever.
Hey, I did my kitchen in IKEA. It's still standing.
Okay.
Did you take a taxi here, or did you took the ferry, the taxi boat?
Today, you mean?
No, when you went to IKEA.
I took the ferry.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's nice and it was summer, so yeah.
That's
why not?
good.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, we're happy to have you here.
Thank you so much.
We have lots to talk about with you. Anthony speaks very highly of you and was like, we got to get Jaziah on the show. He's mad cool. And he introduced you to the sit down, right?
I did.
So we'll talk about that in a
We'll
second.
definitely talk about it.
So yeah,
Let me
so,
just fix your microphone so we don't have any issues.
and
Yeah.
this is live TV. So, there's people in the background watching, which is good with their dogs.
I love it.
So talk to us about normally how we do things here is we want to hear about you, how you got into the DJ game, what inspired you. Tell us about it.
Well, at a young age, I always was interested in music. I used to be a drummer, so I drummed for about, I think, 6-7 years. And then I saw some people DJing actually, and I thought like, wow, this is really interesting. Let me see how that works.
And what year was this that this was going on?
This is, I'm thinking 97, maybe before even 95.
Okay.
Yes, 95, I would say 95. And yeah, I saw a lot of people. I saw some friends of mine doing that. And I was really interested in the DJing and in the skill factor, in the scratching and whatever. So I kind of like go to my friend's house and then, how do you say, like practice a little bit. Then I got some money and I bought my first pair of turntables.
Okay.
And since then I was hooked, so I was like totally into that.
So now so you're from Amsterdam.
Yes.
So this was back in Amsterdam. So you're actually the first international guy we've had on the show,
Yeah.
right? So this is actually kind of unique because all the guys we've had on the show, they're from the
New
States
York,
or they're from New
And
York.
they travel all over the world, and now you have somebody from outside the U.S. that actually moved to New York. So you moved here, right?
That's right. I
Yeah.
moved here about 2.5 years ago. It's a long story, but I mean, for me, it was really important to see what was out there in other spots in the world. And New York, I came here, I think the first time about 10 years ago, and I just fell in love with the city. I think New York has everything you want from a city, and also a lot of culture, a lot of music, and especially a lot of hip hop, which I love. This is funny because I, did a lot of house music.
Yeah, so
But-
like it must have been a little difficult for you making a switch from coming from Holland and then coming here and DJing in these. Coming from like big venues in Holland and festivals, and then coming to New York to these small lounges. You had to go
True.
through like a transition period.
True. Back in Holland, I did a lot of stuff. I did play a lot of open format too, but that was in like smaller clubs.
Okay.
But I got my fame, let's call it like that, for being one of the resident DJs for one of the biggest club nights in Holland, and that was a club night. It started in Amsterdam, it's called Rush, and it traveled around the country. I just love playing house music, but you can always see even where that's from, In the end, all that type of music is based, from from basically actual music.
Yeah.
And how do you explain? It is for me very interesting to touch every part of that realm. You know?
Yeah. So like you're talking about samples and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
sampling, beat making. You know, there's so much to go around, and it started. You know, there's in hip hop a lot of stuff, in house, and nowadays you see a lot of things. How do you say, merging actually?
Okay.
So even you saw it back in the day with Timbaland. He tried to use, or he used a lot of like EDM-ish type of
Sounds with hip hop.
sounds,
Yeah.
you know, with his hip hop stuff. And for me, that was really interesting. So in general, yeah, the transition. That was your question.
Yeah.
It was kind of weird because I did a lot of like big festivals, big stuff, and then to come to New York and play in like a small venue again,
Yeah.
it's totally different. And also I had to adjust because the hits we have in Amsterdam are not per se the hits you have in New
Exactly.
York.
Yeah.
But then that's what makes it interesting.
Yeah.
And for me, I've been doing this very long, since like '95,
Yeah.
and so that's basically 20 years already.
Nice.
And to just see every part of it and see every part of DJing, that's just what makes it interesting for me. Yeah.
So have you been back to Holland?
Yeah, I go back in the last 2 years. I've been back many times actually, but I mostly go back in the summer because summertime is festival time.
Mhm.
And
Oh, so you're still doing the festival?
yeah,
So that's
yeah.
good.
Well, not all like I used to,
Uh-huh.
because then I have to like travel back and forth, and
Uh-huh.
it's just a little too much.
Yeah.
But I still do actually. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
good. So
So
what-
now in the summer, in August, I'm going back for about a month, and there's a couple of festivals which I do. One of them is Mysteryland,
Oh, nice.
which is one of my favorite actually. A nice story about that is that I've been doing that for 10 years in a row, and to my knowledge, I'm the only DJ to ever do that 10 years in a row.
Congratulations.
So that's, for me, was I would say one of the bigger accomplishments.
So this
in
year
my
is the
career.
10th year.
No, this year would be the 11th.
Oh,
But
great.
last year was the 10th year.
That's a
and
great
I was
milestone.
like ecstatic about that.
So how do you get to do it 10 years in a row, and then all these other DJs, like these mainstream DJs, like say Getter and all these guys, they don't do it 10 years in a row?
No, I think, well, first of all, they're super expensive. So you have to be able to afford them. Second, no, I think I've always tried to bring quality music and quality DJing, and I just, try to, really play for the people. And funny enough, there was always a different promoter asking me for their stage. So if you probably know, a lot of these festivals are built up on different stages, and most of the time there are different promoters who host the stage.
Yep.
And so, like for 3 years, I did a stage for a group called Girls Love DJs. I did a stage last year for yours truly, a friend of mine, DJ Flexicon, really big DJ in Holland too. And so I go around, doing different stages, and
That's great.
yeah, so that's how I got to do it 10 years
And
ago.
how many people normally attend the Mysteryland Festival?
In Holland, about 60,000.
Wow.
This last year was the first year they split it in two. They split on Saturday and Sunday. They made it an overnighter, so you could actually camp out there and stay, and then attend the festival next day. And I think so. Last year was about 80,000. But in general, if you speak about the stage, I would say, depending on the stage, 3 to 10,000, and then main stage would probably like 15,000.
Right.
So tell us about a little of the preparation that goes into preparing for a set like that. How long is usually the set, and what is your preparation like for it?
Well, it's funny because like I do prepare, let's say, a playlist with bigger songs. So because like some songs which you can play in a like small venue really work out well in a small venue. But if you play them on a bigger stage, they just lose their energy.
Yep.
And the same way goes for the other way around.
Uh-huh.
So I do prepare a playlist, but I don't necessarily sort out.
So you don't put
How
them
you
like
gonna
I'm
play
playing
them? No,
1, 2.
no,
you don't
no.
label
So
them.
it's whatever you're feeling.
Yeah, whatever I'm feeling. Because first of all, I want to challenge myself a little bit. I like that. I just, you know, I need to be a little, how do you say?
Spontaneous.
Yeah, spontaneous and
Yep.
a little anxious, you know.
Yep.
And also, I feel like the best way of DJing is to see who you have in front of you and what they are, you know, going for. And if you feel like, hey, they're going for this type of stuff, you know, you go a little bit more that way. If you feel like they go that way, you can, you know, adjust yourself. And to just randomly make like a list and play that list and hope people were gonna react to that, I mean, that's not DJing for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
You can
most of the
basically put
time.
on a mixtape and you know,
Yeah.
which some you might have known some of bigger names have done. But for them, I have to say that would be easier because people, I mean, who come for Geta, they know what they want to hear, they know what he's gonna play. So in general, he could put on a mixtape by stuff he did himself.
And then also because he's David Guetta, people are just mentally
yeah.
Yeah.
thinking differently because he's
Right.
on stage as
Right.
opposed to
And
somebody else.
even I know of a lot of people, and I'm not gonna name names and stuff, but I know it's easy sometimes for them because like the lighting guy and the effects guy, they all work together, you know? So they know when the drop is gonna be. They know when the next song is gonna come on. And so that's why in a lot of those cases with the big names, they just prepare a set.
Yep.
And if you think about it, it's not that weird. Let's say Kanye does a concert, it's also set, you know? It's not really like he's gonna do like a weird song just because he feels like it.
No, it's got to be
That
all
he's gonna do a
choreographed.
weird
Yeah.
rant, you know?
Yeah,
He
yeah,
can
yeah.
do that. But like in general, concert of any rock band or whatever, it works a little like that.
So, you know, you were talking about how there's certain tracks you play for a big crowd, and then there's certain tracks that you can't play because they don't go over well in a big audience, only in a smaller place.
Yeah.
Like, is that just something that you learned playing at these festivals? And was there a song where you were shocked that it didn't go over well on a big stage as opposed to, you know, only being able to play it in a smaller stage?
Absolutely. It's hard for me to think of a song right now.
Yeah.
But in generally speaking, I learned it like that. I mean, like you DJ in smaller clubs, and then the first time you are at the festival, you think like, whoa, why isn't it working?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you learn the hard way basically. And when you do many festivals and many big stages, you just learn like, okay, this is something that will work out, or this is something that don't. And that's why what I meant by preparing
Sure.
a playlist like that. You just feel like, okay, this is something that will, you know, that will work for a bigger stage. But I had to learn the hard way, definitely. Yeah, I had to like see people leave, and you know, or see
Yeah.
people like putting their hands down. And sometimes I do that on purpose. I love to like play a little with it, with the audience.
Yeah.
So I literally put in a breakdown. It's also something which I found out was different from New York and Amsterdam. In New York, I see a lot of DJs. They try to keep it up all the time. Like they just start up and they just try to keep it there.
Yeah, you can't do that.
So they mix a new song in every 30 seconds. I don't believe in that philosophy. I think people need to calm down for a little bit.
I agree.
You know? It's like sex. You're not gonna go in. You just, you know, build it up to a point where, you know, and this is the same as DJ.
Yeah,
for
you know,
me.
and it actually took me a very long time to understand that when I first started DJing. You know, I was always about like energy level, like all the way up really high, and then until you realize like you
can't go for
exhaust,
that long.
yeah, you
Yeah.
exhaust the crowd
Yeah.
after a while.
Yeah.
Where you sort of got to like pace yourself, take them up, bring them down, you know. But you learn that over time.
Yeah, and that's what I see. Funny you mentioned it like that, because that's what I see a lot in New York. They literally exhaust the audience, and then the club, like, you know, is empty by 3, but they actually could go on till 5. You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I like to, like, first of all, take a little bit more time to build it up, and then also make some breakdowns, because people aren't gonna leave right away. They're just gonna go to the bar and get a drink, or maybe whatever. And then when the new song comes in, they're gonna be back at the dance floor.
Right.
So that's how I like to do it.
Yeah.
And sometimes I had some problems with that in New York. You were talking about the transition.
Yeah.
People like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I'm like, it's okay, it's okay. But then, you know, promoters get a little, you know, anxious or a little.
Because when you can hit them at 3 o'clock in the morning with like a bunch of things that you still haven't played yet,
Right.
and then all of a sudden at 3 o'clock, like everybody's getting their second wind,
Right.
and they're like the
Yeah.
DJ's heating up right now, and then all of a sudden people are just not going anywhere.
Yeah.
They actually want to go out someplace afterwards because they were so hyped up at
True.
the late hour in the night, you know, which a lot of people don't understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think for the festivals, it works the same way. I think programming a stage is really, really important. And I think a lot of people don't understand how important that actually is. Because what you see, what I have noticed on a lot of festivals is like, the first one on is already like, I need to kill it, I need
Yep.
to kill it. And everybody wants to like, you know, prove themselves. And then what you see is, if a festival goes from 12 in the morning or afternoon until 12 in the night, you hear the same record maybe 20 times. And I don't like that. I think you should have people openers who do like a quieter set at the beginning and then work up all the way till like you know, good, you know, energy. And but I mean, like, I think promoters can learn from DJs about that. But
So you DJing these festivals, you had the pleasure of working with some bigger name DJs. Who
Yeah.
are some of the people that you've worked with?
wow, I mean, like, a lot actually. I think I'm gonna just throw you a little list.
Just
of
go
all
ahead.
the
Yeah,
names.
yeah, we want to hear it.
David Guetta, Afrojack, Tiesto. Tiesto actually was for me very important because he opened a club in Amsterdam and he took me on as one of his residents, and that was very nice because you know when one of the biggest DJs in the world
course.
asks you to be a resident in his club, I mean that was pretty intense for me.
Yep.
But then the club had to shut down because of noise complaints and stuff, so that was kind
You
of
were
like,
playing too loud.
I thought that this is gonna be my big break, but then it like turned out to be a little break. I mean, like Felix the House Cat, who more Fedder Legrand, A-Track, Diplo, Steve Aoki. There's so many people. Martin Garrix. The Party Squad is very good friends of mine. They're big over there, not
Yep.
that big here, but they're doing a good job. The list goes on. I mean, like pretty much maybe name a name and probably
Who do you think rocks the stage the best out of all these guys that you've named?
Ooh, that's a difficult one because they all have their own ways, and that's the same about what I meant about programming a stage. It's also programming a club or maybe even a festival. Some people go really well on that kind of sound, some people go really well on that kind of sound. So for me, it's too difficult to say. I
Okay.
really like A-Track because I think he's a super skillful DJ, and I like that. But sometimes people are like, what is this guy doing? You know, he's scratching and scratching and scratching, and they don't understand that part of his set, you know?
Yeah.
But me as a DJ, I can really appreciate that skill level.
Sure.
So, but then even I really like Felix the House Cat too, because he just like goes in and drops his stuff, and he's like a little weird and a little, you know. So, but yeah, I like that. And then, I mean, the bigger guys like Afrojack, he just knows what to do. You know, he just you know throws it out there, and he always wins basically.
Yeah.
But then again, he's for the right audience, because the people who come for him, they know what they are gonna get.
So who's on the bill for this festival that's coming up?
A lot of people actually.
Yeah.
A lot of people. I have to check the list myself. I think Martin Garrix is doing main stage again. I think I'm not sure Afrojack is going to be there. I think Guetta is going to be there. I think they have Jack U on the list. So that's Diplo and Skrillex.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a bunch of names. So
Very cool, man.
yeah.
So now, you know, you've been living in New York, you said, for 2 years, right? You live in the city. You play around the city.
Yeah.
So how did you get your breaks in Manhattan? You know, so coming from Amsterdam, coming here, how did you?
Actually, there's a couple of things I need to, a couple of names I need to mention about that, because I think it's always important to know where you're coming from.
Of course.
There's one person who gave me my first real DJ gig. His name is Christian Alexander, and he's pretty much one of the best friends, considers him like a brother of my girlfriend. Her name is Niang Niang, and she's also very important in that part, because she was already in New York modeling, and obviously when she was here, I came and visited her. He was a promoter for a couple of clubs, and she knew him, and she was like, yo, you need to put my boyfriend on, he's great. And he was like, yeah, whatever. And she was like, no, really, he's great. And then he just tried me out once, and he was like, oh shit, he is really good. And then Christian connected me to Sal Morale, which is also a very important guy for me. Good friend of yours, I think. This is also how we met, because Sal went to Tokyo often, and then Sal did programming for one stage at the Big Beach Festival, and then this is how we met basically. And he booked me, I would say around town. Back then you had the Derby, that's now Up and Down. There was One Oak, you know, and little things like that. So he booked me, so he was important. After that, through Sal, I met Jusky, and also a very important guy for me, because Jusky took me in with 4 a.m., represent guys, and 4 a.m. is now my agent in the United States.
Yep.
So they represent me here, and basically he took me in. He put me in One Oak, Up and Down, and all those kind of places. So yeah.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite place to play in Manhattan?
It's difficult, because there's a lot of places which, again, you know, it depends on what crowd there is, or you know, whatever. I like to play, let's say, in Milk Studios if they have a cool fashion event during Fashion Week or whatever. I like that stuff. But I would say my favorite place to DJ right now still probably One Oak, because I like the fact that you can go really hard, you know, at the end of the night. They do understand like cool hip hop. And yeah, it's just a nice high energy spot.
So it's crazy. You love hip hop, but you DJ all these festivals.
I mean, it's weird. I was just brought up with hip hop. We used to watch Yo MTV Raps. And it was like we sat there for like an hour, you know, and used to check that all out. I mean, but so then house was bigger, you know, and also, and this is an important thing in music in general. If you want to make music a career, and if you want to make money out of it, you need to do some, you know.
You need to play all positions.
Yeah, you know, you need to play more positions than only one. And because house was way bigger than hip hop, I mean, if I would do hip hop, I would probably not be able to live out of it.
Yeah.
and because me being a house DJ, and yeah, it was a good gig basically.
Yeah.
And also another thing about the hip hop and house DJs, I think, and I really believe this, the best house DJs started out with hip hop.
And most of them did.
And most of them did, you know? So for me, and in general, I think if you love music, you would be crazy to think like this music is bullshit and this is even some stuff that I don't like, even stuff that is to my eyes really commercial, like Katy Perry for instance or whatever,
Yeah.
or even Taylor Swift. I can still see
You could appreciate it.
yeah, I can still see the professionalism and the amount of work that went into that track, you know. So yeah, for me,
Plus, they're making hits. They
Plus they're
make
making hits.
smash hits.
they make smash hits, so I can hate on them, you know.
Yep.
And I won't. So
And as long as, I mean, depending on where you're playing, as long as you're positioning the music right, you know, you could get away with anything.
yeah, and that's what
And,
I try.
You know?
I try a lot of like weird little things, and I see when it works or not, and most of the time it doesn't, but still I try it at least, you know.
Sure.
So I put in some of my own tracks, you know, in between. And funny enough, sometimes when you do the weirdest, there's always like two people in the audience who are like, yo, yo, you know, this is good, or
Yeah.
they come up to you and like, what was that track, you know? So, and sometimes if I have one guy or one girl liking that, my night is perfect. you know?
Yeah.
And then I can play you all the 100 hits everybody wants to hear, and then
Just sneak in a few of yours.
I'll sneak in a few of mine.
So let's talk about the Illuminati production team that you got.
Okay, so I think this started about 5 years ago. 5 years ago, me and my friend, a really important guy to me, one of my actual best friends, and amazing producer called Mike the Swan. We call him the Mikey. He lives in New York too right now. We started producing music together. A lot of times we produce music under the name Jaziah, so that's my name. But then we figured like it would be cool for him too, because you know otherwise he would be the guy in the studio sitting there, and I would take all the credit for it, you know. And he's such an amazing producer, so we figured like, okay, let's build a new name, a new brand, and we came up with this name Illuminati, and that was way back before anybody was talking about it. Illuminati actually means enlightened ones, and so that means like the free thinkers.
Okay.
We do things differently.
Yep.
So, but then a lot of people where we worked with a little later on were like, hey, Illuminati, that's that, you know, secret society, new world order,
Yeah, yeah.
weird people, you know. And we got some hate for it, and then you know this was in the beginning of like Twitter and Instagram, and people were actually saying like, yeah, you're Nazis, and like he's like half black, so like a Nazi, you know. And also my Nyanga, she was also involved, and another guy was involved, and they both were also. She's mixed, you know, so it was like Nazis, you know, like, I know. And they all, you know, people were throwing shade left and right. And at one point, we were with the four of us. One guy left, and we figured we need to mature the sound a little. We started out with trap music back when Flusterdamus wasn't even famous or
Yep.
something for trap, or let's say Dylan Francis or whatever. Dylan Francis, nice DJ too, where I he actually remixed one of our first songs.
Oh, really?
So we figured, okay, let's drop the Illuminati name, because even some artists were talking to us like, yeah, I really like to work with you guys, but under the moniker Illuminati would be a little bit difficult for me. So we figured, okay, let's drop the Illuminati name, just stick with AMS. AMS is pretty much the same as NYC, it means Amsterdam.
Yep.
And we were the first ones to ever use that. Crazy enough, because it's
a
on
great
everybody's ticket.
Yeah.
When you go to Amsterdam, it says AMS. And nobody ever used that name. We used that first. And yeah, so like we stuck with that name, and we are very happy about that right now. Also, we signed to Sony basically for publishing our music, and they are happy about it too. Because,
Awesome.
You know, for them it's maybe a little bit easier to sell. Like, hey, this guy's from AMS. They
Yeah.
have a cool beat for you or whatever, you know. So
That's cool. So you're working hard on the
yeah,
production.
we
and,
basically we dropped a track in January. That was the first new release, and you can also hear the difference from what we did like 4 years ago. 4 years
To
it
what
was a
you're
little
doing
bit
now.
more trap style,
Yep.
a little bit more deep, yeah, weird stuff. And now we trying to be more, how do you say? We trying to make more like songs, actual songs, and just also to get radio play. And,
Yep.
you know, so yeah,
That's good.
yeah.
So you have some stuff prepared for tonight's set?
I mean, again, I made like a playlist of stuff I really like. So what you're gonna hear tonight is gonna be like the music I actually think is really cool to play, and just music I love in general. And yeah, we're gonna just see where it goes.
All right,
you
let's
know?
do it.
Depends on if you guys bring me a drink or whatever.
We might be able
How
to, we
deep
might
I'll
be able to
take.
sneak one in.
But musically, I'm gonna do. I'm gonna just show you two sides of me. One side will be like the housey tech house, you know,
Mhm.
more festival-ish side,
Yep.
and the other side would be the more hip hop, you know, R&B type of sound. And I'm just gonna see, yeah, how to combine those two, and just take everybody on a little trip of
All right, well,
Jaziah. Yeah.
All right, let's do
we're
it.
excited.
All right, we're here with Jaziah. We're going to take a 2-minute break. We're going to get him up on the tables.